It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Here's the next one. This is from David. And this is one we actually get a lot, and I feel like it's a lot of press. So why would we not weigh into it? This is what David said. Is it worth it to pull out of my current home equity of $60,000? I've got $60,000 of home equity. Should I pull that out and invest all or some of it into the stock market? I'm 34. I took out a 15-year note, but I'm worried that I'm being too conservative. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in there that we can kind of speak to.
Yeah, I don't love that idea. Now, look, Bo and I are in different places. For all the hoopla I get for being horrible with paying down the mortgage debt, I actually think our rule, by the way, just to reflect on what our rules are, I love the fact that people under 45 years of age should maximize compounding growth by, not get in a hurry to pay down your 2.5–3% mortgage. And let your money work in Roth IRAs, 401ks, and all those other great ways that you can build wealth. And basically, when you get confused, just follow the financial order of operations. Go to moneyguy.com/resources. You can download your free copy. But we do get a lot of people that get very excited about paying down debt pre-45, because I do think after 45, when you get to be my age, there's a balancing act between the risk, between the desire to be completely debt-free as you approach financial independence. I'm willing to have that argument, discussion there, but under 45, it doesn't seem a very good use of money to pay down the debt. So I think somebody has heard us say that, and they say, well, if it's so good that we ought to do this, why not bring some leverage into this, and why don't we take debt off of our equity in our houses, especially when real estate's going up, and then go put that in the market. Here's why I don't love that. First of all, real estate transactions are very expensive.
Yep.
I mean, guys, if you don't realize, whenever even you do refinances or anything, go look at all the state stamps, all the peoples whose hands that are involved with, title insurance, recording the deed. It gets kind of expensive.
Sure.
A lot of hands in the pots of getting access to equity, because real estate is a very illiquid asset, and that I don't like that cost. So that's the first X, essentially on why I would not do this. The other part is that there is something about a use asset, a shelter. Shelter is something that I think gives us peace of mind.
Sure.
I mean, we just had a horrible storm here in the Nashville area, where we had a lot of flooding. A lot of people around us are impacted by this. And I can remember as you're laying in bed with this storm, that you're like, how is it even possible to have this much water coming down over this period of time? I mean, you really do. You're amazed at Mother Nature doing it, but then you're thankful, like, thank goodness I have this house that is providing me shelter. I don't think taking more debt out on that is going to put you on a more secure path on that.
Yeah, what I don't love is that it's like it's actually moving backwards. So you're on this 15-year note, and you have built up your equity to a certain point. But if you were to pull that equity out, you're basically going from your current risk posture to being even more aggressive on the side that I don't think you should be aggressive on. What I would argue in your situation, because you said you're 34 and you're on a 15-year note, here's what I would think about. One, I would look at my current portfolio and I would say, okay, well, how conservative am I being in my current portfolio? Because at age 34, odds are you could stand to be a little more aggressive farther out on the risk spectrum. Now, one thing that I would consider doing if I was specifically David is right now 15-year mortgages and 30-year mortgages are both super, 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 super low. So what I would look at is if I wanted to refinance, right? If I wanted to go from a 15-year to a 30-year, I would probably consider doing that before I would go pull that equity out of my home and put more of my use asset, my shelter, at risk. Well, then it's okay if you stretch it out over 30 years, you get your army of dollar bills working. It's sort of a best of both worlds approach. It is changing the calculus of your situation a little bit, but not so aggressive that you're actually taking money out of the thing that you live in.
Did he say what interest rate he had?
He did not. That's why I would.
Because that's what I mean. But there might be an opportunity with where interest rates are right now to go cheaper
on
in the 15-year with a 30-year.
Right.
There might be something to look into that, because that is the part. I mean, look, I'm currently on a 15-year mortgage, but I'm also close to 50.
Yep.
I mean, and I did that. You still pick on me about that transaction, but I still believe under 45, I'm also okay with you doing a 30-year mortgage because here's the point. When you're in your 30s, life is messy. You got
Absolutely.
kids in the house. You got, education goals, you got retirement goals, and you're trying to make sure you can get a house big enough to where you get at least some sanity space from all the messy middle that you're in the 30s. That I think that you'll appreciate what a 30-year mortgage can do for you, but understand you are going to get aggressive with that debt later. So that's why you don't want to take leverage is something you need to be very fearful and scared of. So I don't love the idea of going out there and getting more, especially on your primary residence.
Absolutely.
It's giving you shelter through all the storms and all the other things that you're putting up with in life.
Love it.